Unless you piss her off. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, look, is it possible to be the friend that Karen needs you to be while also being cool with Fatima?
Tony, I think there'll be peace in the Middle East before Karen and Fatima get along. So that means the rest of us are going to have to choose.
Well, folks, to me, one of the most interesting lines of the episode. Now, don't get me wrong. The most BA line of the episode was, "My family doesn't make threats, they make funeral arrangements." But the most intriguing line was Danny talking to Tony on the subject of, at some point, we may have to pick between Karen and Fatima. And to be completely honest, based on the last episode, I would not be surprised if the girls wound up picking Fatima over Karen, because she's just easier to get along with, less confrontational, and heaven help you if you're on the receiving end of her rage. But I think that it makes sense for the girls just to move on. I think, since season one and onward, people have been talking about, man, this friend group just doesn't seem like a bunch of gal pals. And Karen seems like the de facto leader, like she can boss everybody around. Her and Danny always have friction. She always is like bossing Andy and Sabrina around. And, she doesn't like being told what to do or called out or apologizing. But then again, that goes for all the other women. But I think that in my other video, I talked about how, to me, Danny told Zach about taking the DNA test, out of spite, because she didn't like the way that Karen came at her and the other girls for having brunch with Fatima. And after getting that, attitude, she's like, you know what? Her ex came to me for advice. I want to tell him what he should do. And I mean, Danny's been Team Fatima from the jump, because I remember seasons ago, all of us are talking about how, come to think of it, Fatima's done a lot for the other girls, more than Karen ever has. If it wasn't for Fatima hiding evidence at the beginning of season 2 that may have gotten Andy in more trouble with the law, Andy would have never gotten the promotion or like the $1 million+ settlement with the law firm. If I remember correctly, how did she help Sabrina? I'm trying to remember. Did she help Sabrina? Oh, yeah. She got her cousin, Madam, to talk with Andy to, if I remember correctly, this was season 5. Andy wanted nothing more than to have Madam arrange a meeting with a judge. So I think that Madam made a quick call to that one judge from all the Queen's men and got a meeting set up for Andy to go see her friend in jail. And by extension, that led to the bail and her talking with Robin and getting Sabrina out. So Fatima played a role in getting Sabrina out of jail. And when it came to Danny, after the Jonah situation, yeah, when you really think about it, Fatima was there in the girls' darkest times. And in all 3 situations, they involved the law. Sabrina, when she got arrested for the robbery. Andy, when she lost everything when the government seized all of her assets. And then Danny, after she, ran over Jonah and could have been facing prison time if she did kill him. And then, Fatima did the quick check and found out that Jonah was in the hospital, but he was released, and he didn't press charges because he has a past of domestic violence. So Fatima was there when Karen wasn't. Now, to be fair to Karen, she was kind of on the sidelines due to her pregnancy and whatnot. So she wasn't really involved with the drama of the other girls because, well, she was chasing after Zach. So, and then if I remember correctly, at the end of season 1, that's when Zach got stabbed by Bean. So she was preoccupied with that and couldn't help out Andy. So, yeah, Fatima is the easy pick. And based on Karen's demeanor, I think the girls are just kind of fed up. It's like, you know what, look, pregnant or not, she's always been unagreeable. She's always had an attitude. We're just going to pick somebody else to be our friend. And somebody during the live stream pointed out, you know what, Jeremy, I had a friend at one point, she was pregnant, and she kind of felt the same way Karen did, where she wasn't really included in events and whatnot because of her pregnancy. And then, you know, another friend kind of came into the group. Well, it isn't the girl's fault. I mean, they can't put their life on hold just because one of them is pregnant. And just like when Zach told Fatima, wait, do you think the girls only invited you out because Karen didn't show up? And she's like, yeah. Which implies that on more than one occasion, because Danny said, you know what, she mad because we invited Fatima out like once, twice, or maybe once to activities. Well, I mean, if Karen decides not to go for one reason or another, why is it so bad for the other girls to want to hang out with somebody else? I mean, would she have had a problem if, let's say, Sabrina invited Maurice? Or, you know, Andy invited, well, no, I can't use Fatima as an example. Hell, what if Pam showed up? I don't know. It just felt like, you know, she's only got an issue with Fatima because of the whole Zach situation. And like I said, Danny's been rocking with Fatima since the beginning. She even called Karen out. You know what? Fatima would have been one of our sisters by now in our little sister circle, but you just can't let go of your spite, you know, and she's a cool chick. So, I mean, if there was anybody to kind of lead the charge for Fatima, it's definitely Danny. And if it came down to a vote, like whether or not Bobby Brown would get voted out of the group and then Johnny Gill gets brought in, I think that Sabrina would be on the fence because you know how indecisive she is. Andy would be like, no, Karen's our friend. But then, no, it's just like when they voted David Ruffin out of the group. And, you know, Otis was like, you know what? No, we got to let her go. No, Otis, you're flying on a big hate. And it's like, you know, no, he's been a pain in the butt. And then if the vote comes down to Sabrina, I can see it being Sabrina. It's like, Otis is Danny. Yeah, Otis is Danny, the one saying like, no, she got to go. And then Sabrina's like, come on. I mean, Karen's always been Karen. Yeah, I think that they'll be hesitant at first, but, you know, they'll eventually come around. Karen will probably get the boot. I honestly think the girls will make a choice before Karen comes around. I do not see Karen coming around, especially with this DNA stuff. Now, if the DNA test proves that Zach isn't the father, maybe that will change things. But I honestly do not see Karen changing her demeanor towards Fatima anytime soon. So what do you think? Do you think the girls will be faced with an ultimatum at some point? And if so, who do you think they'll choose? Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.